Okay, we're live. It's going to go in. There you go. It's counting down.
Oh, cool.
Hello. Hi. Today we're joined by Faith Carpentier, an NASM, that's National Academy of Sports Medicine, certified personal trainer with a degree in exercise science, a Bachelor of Science in Exercise Science. Great degree. Faith works with a wide range of clients from athletes, men focused on longevity and performance, and to women of all stages of life. And one of Faith's uh, primary interests is women in the perimenopausal and menopausal um, area, where she can talk about hormone management and how that relates to exercise and lifestyle medicine, and particularly strength training with that piece. So, Faith, welcome to our podcast. It's great to have you. I know you're an expert in this area. You're well educated and trained. So, thank you, and thanks for being with us tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
So, I've got a list of questions. We're just going to go through this like a podcast. Is that good with you? Kind of a Q&A style?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. So tell me a little bit more, having an exercise science background, which is long ago, not as fresh as your education, in exercise science and your NASM training, which, by the way, guests, I want you to know that that is one of the more prestigious levels of training certificates out there. There's a lot of training certificates, but this is particularly more difficult, more rigorous, and it holds a higher degree of expertise. So, when you have this training and this background and you work with all these populations, can you tell us a little bit about your training and kind of what brought you to this?
Yeah, so I played sports my entire life. I've done a myriad of them. I was a competitive gymnast for about 15 years.
Oh, wow.
And then I went off to college. I decided not to pursue that and dive into the exercise portion of it, and really get into physiology, since that's what I love. And then when I graduated, I went into medicine and did medical scribing for a wound care facility for 3 years. Loved that. But I was like, you know what? I think we'll pump the brakes on medicine and dive more into the fitness side of health and wellness, and just help every population you could think of, between men who mostly want to build muscle mass. That's their goal. And then those middle-aged women who are really trying to just navigate menopause and what that entails, because it's crazy.
Yeah. 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 There's so much need. There's so much need for really good educated folks that know how to direct people to safe, prescriptive almost exercise, if you will. So I
Mhm.
love it. I love it. That's great. And you're right. Men do want to build. I find very few men that don't want to spend time on building muscular tissue. So I
Yeah.
think that's great. So that's awesome. And I don't know if our panel knows, but I have a degree in exercise phys back in the day, and Faith and I we could have gone on a deep dive, and we could have postponed this lecture for a while and geeked out on exercise science and the physiology of it and how it applies to medicine and wellness. And I forgot that you spent some time in medicine too, so that's great.
Yeah, it was fun. It's a lot. It teaches you a lot.
It does, yeah. The spectrum of disease. There's a spectrum, right? And one of the things I always said was we can spend time on your wellness or your illness.
Hmm.
And with Faith, you're going to spend a lot more time on wellness, which is great, but possibly reversal of disease. And that's what I'd like to refer a lot of my patients to Faith for, is let's get a hold of your disease by getting that movement going again. So let me ask this, Faith, as you work with athletes, men and women of all ages, how do you approach training differently depending on the person in front of you? What's your, how do you handle that?
So progressive overload is the name of the game. I mean, that is the key to any good training program, regardless of who is sitting in front of you. Really, the difference lies in what exercises you're doing. I mean, I have a lot of older women and men who come to me and go, I just want to be able to put my shoes on. So we're really focusing on that hip and knee mobility to be able to get low and actually put your shoes on by yourself and tie them. Or, some people come in and they go, I want to focus more on conditioning. I want to run a mile this year or this month, even. I want to run a marathon or ultra marathon this year. So it's more so in how we're not how, but specifically what. So progressive overload for everything, but then get nitty gritty with what it is.
I love it. I love that you said that word progressive overload. That is so key, right?
Yeah.
We need the stimulus to create the adaptive response for training and for the desired result, like you said, whether it's putting shoes on or whether it's more competitive.
Yeah.
So, oh, I love it. I love that word. Sorry, I haven't heard that in a while. I get excited. Um, so I'm just going to move through some questions. You take as long as you want on each one, but I just want to, make sure that we have a nice array from our audience. So, they see that you can really fulfill a wide range of populations, even though you have some special interests. So, what are some common goals you see across different populations, and where do their needs really start to diverge? So, where would you say that people have these common goals?
So, like I said, younger men and men in general, really, they want a bigger chest. They want that Dorito look that a lot of people talk about, bigger arms, leaner waist. And then women, they're more interested typically in improving their overall health and well-being. So, better sleep, better energy levels. They're both interested in fat reduction, that overall body fat, since it just benefits everything when you're not carrying around that extra load. But I think where they really diverge is their why. Everyone has a different reason. It can go from, I want to be able to pick my grandkids up and play with them, or, like I said, put your shoes on by yourself. It really just depends on what is their purpose. Why are they actually there? And I think that's the key to really getting somebody to commit to coming in consistently, is you have to build that rapport with them and care about what they're telling you. If you don't care, they don't care.
Yes. Yes. Oh, I love it. I love it. You're right. And I love that you focus in on their why and their purpose and faith. Sometimes in the medical clinic, when I'm trying to motivate people to just take care of themselves better, it's sometimes I'll say, I don't care if you don't want to do it for you, but do it for them.
Mhm.
Do it for those grandchildren. Do it for your parents who you might need to support later in life. Take care of yourself now for them. And because a lot of times that is their purpose, that is their why, and you deflect it to what is the bigger reason to spend time on yourself. So I love it. I love that. And functionality, right? How do we keep people independent and staying functional? Putting on your shoes is a pretty, small piece.
It's significant.
Yeah, going to the bathroom,
Mhm.
squatting down to go to the bathroom takes some strength and skill and balance and these things that you can probably coach them around.
Yeah, and I have women a lot tell me, I'm not trying to look like a bodybuilder. I don't think I need to do squats. And my first, retort to them is, how do you get out of bed? How do you go
Mm,
and use the bathroom? How do you get up after you finish a meal? It's a squatting motion.
yes.
It's not necessarily a, I don't wanna look like a bodybuilder. It's, I want functionality in my life
Mm,
long term. I
yeah,
wanna live past 80 functionally.
love it. Love it. And in the physiology of aging, what I tell a lot of folks is after the age of 75, the decline is significant.
Mhm.
And so if we don't keep people moving, it's a significant impact on their like you said, their functionality, their independence. Who's going to be more predictive of who's going to go on long-term care living versus
Right.
not? And so having somebody like yourself to encourage them and move them along is fantastic. So, okay, I'm going to move through this a little bit more. Um, so, what is one of your expertise areas in working with one of your expertise areas working with perimenopausal, menopausal women, and what drew you to that particular population? I know you had mentioned that to me before we spoke that that's a little bit of more of an interest of yours. So, what drew you to them?
Yeah, absolutely. My mom, actually, I noticed probably middle high school, so we're talking 2018-ish. Oh no, I'm much older than that. This is probably 2015. Um, she started kind of in that perimenopausal state, and there's really not a big community to help with the guidance portion in that of, here's what's happening with your body, here's why it's happening, and what you can do to aid in not feeling terrible.
Mhm.
And for the last almost 10 years, she's suffered. And we both, and this was before we met you, Dr. John, was we felt like nobody really cared to give those explanations. So we're going down the rabbit hole of
Mhm.
what's going on? Why is this happening? How can we start a training program together? And I've trained my mom now for 2 years,
Mm.
and she's finally on hormones and working wonderfully. She can sleep, her energy is improved. She feels like she can have family time that lasts longer than a couple hours. But
Mhm.
there's so many things that go into menopause that people don't talk about. I
Mhm.
felt like even if I'm the only person that cares, that's one more person.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I love how you combine the lifestyle medicine, the exercise prescription, the movement with the hormone therapy and with this stage of life that's so critical to do both. One of my phrases that a lot of people know from me is if we use hormones, I tell them if you're going to take the hormone, drive it like a Porsche. Porsche
Mhm,
just happens to be one of my favorite cars. I don't have one, but maybe one day. And but drive it like a Porsche. Step on the gas. Use it in the gym. Use it with your brain. Use it in the bedroom. You know, use it for these areas that affect quality of life significantly. And so it's so critical. A lot of some people I give hormones to, believe it or not, they don't feel the impact until they start circulating that blood and the hormones throughout their entire body
mhm.
that you could be helping them with. And so I think that's a key piece. I love it that your mom's getting the effects now of the synergy of working out, the hormones, and all of it. So that's great.
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about this a little later, but progesterone and sleep is just the tool that keeps on giving. I mean, sleep is just so important, and she's like, "I feel like I'm 25 again."
That's great. Progesterone's magic for sleep. You're absolutely right. I love it. I just prescribed it today for the first time for a woman. So yeah, it's great. It's
It's
fantastic.
amazing.
Yes. Okay. Let's go on to the next one. So, what do women in their 40s and 50s usually come to you frustrated or confused about?
So usually it's they're not able to lose weight despite being in a relatively low caloric, um, not necessarily deficit, but they're not really eating that much. So they've maintained that for so long. So it's really not even a deficit for them anymore. This is their norm.
Mhm.
And they're just not able to lose weight.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of education surrounding nutrition, especially for women who are in menopause. So we talk about protein intake, what that looks like, why you need minimum 100 grams a day,
Yeah.
and all the things that that's going to benefit. How you can incorporate just normal movements throughout your day, even if you have a desk job. There's still some things you just have to get a little creative sometimes, but
Yeah.
that's usually what it is. I swear I don't eat that much, but I can't lose weight.
Right. Right. I find that common frustration as well. And so I
Mhm.
love it that you're able to address that. So terrific. Metabolic, the metabolome is what they call it, right? This metabolome of this area of the age, especially the childbearing ages, right?
Mhm.
It can be challenging. I don't know if you know anything about that, but the childbearing ages can be challenging, particularly after you have babies and in the 40s and 50s when perimenopause and menopause starts to kick in. So metabolism becomes a little sluggish, and hormones can play a significant role in conjunction in the synergy with lifestyle medicine. So I like that.
Mhm.
Um, um, what does the traditional eat less, move more approach? When does that seem to stop working for many women during this phase?
Yeah,
Or
so that definitely plays into that. Why I don't eat that much.
Mhm.
So why can't I lose weight? During menopause, we see that pretty significant decline in estrogen and progesterone.
Yeah.
And then their stress goes up. A lot of women are still working. Our retirement age is only going to keep going up, unfortunately.
Mhm.
They're losing that muscle mass that they once had. it's harder to maintain it.
Yeah.
And then especially you spend all those years building it, and now you can't necessarily keep it the same way you used to. All of those things are causing the body to just resist fat loss.
Yeah.
That stress, I know we hear that trigger word cortisol, but that is your stress.
Mhm.
And if you have enough of it, your body goes, you know what? We're not going to work well together anymore.
Right.
Um, but it really is important that we take a look at those lifestyle factors and ways that we can make changes, especially subtly. We don't want to sit there and go completely rampant on we're going to make all these changes and just overload you to a new degree. So we definitely want to avoid overtraining,
Yeah.
especially with those special populations. Overtraining is going to be the worst idea possible.
Right. Right. So you have a kind of an approach to work them into it and then
Mhm.
gradually build them up with progressive overload and some other
Absolutely.
key pieces. Okay, great. Love it. Yeah, one of the things I always tell people is muscle is the metabolic currency of metabolism. And so it's you want the low-hanging fruit, let's build muscle,
Yep.
right? And you add some hormones on there when they're deficient and the muscle comes on even easier and it's more metabolically active and easier to hang on to when you have those hormones that are going to support that piece. So I love it. That's great. I love how you have a good grip on all this. This is fantastic.
It's definitely a passion of mine. I mean, I see so many people every day that just struggle.
Yeah.
So you have to care about what they're going through. It's their life. These are real people that have issues.
Awesome. Yeah, just the way you're putting the pieces together, I love it. Um, so from a physiology standpoint, what hormone shifts most impact muscle mass, fat storage? And you answered some of this already, I think,
Yeah.
but um, with the cortisol hormone shifts, right, with stress, impact muscle mass, fat storage, and energy during this midlife period. Is there some specifics that you have there?
I mean, we're really looking at progesterone, how it can negatively impact sleep if it's too low. And if you're not sleeping, you don't have that restorative capability. Um, you're not really able to re- to get back what you've lost throughout the day. You have to be able to sleep, renew, and come in for the next day. And if you don't, and then somebody is telling you, okay, well, now you have to go and train really hard in the gym,
Mm,
it's just this vicious cycle that you're stuck in. I mean, you're drained day after day, and you're just losing a little bit every single day. I mean, sleep is going to be our biggest thing that we need.
gotcha. I'll bet there are certain times where you have to tell people you're not sleeping enough, you're now overtraining because you're not getting that restorative piece in order for you to come back fresh and strong to
Yeah.
get the most out of this workout. I'd imagine you've had to back people off a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And they
Uh,
hate it,
right.
especially when they've been in it. I mean, if I've worked for somebody, 6 to 8 months, and I can tell, okay, they're having something go on in their life. They've hit a life phase
Mhm.
where, some people go through a breakup or the death of a family member. The
Right.
holidays that we just had, that is stressful on a lot of people,
Right.
especially if you have small children having to drive them around everywhere. That
Mm,
gets exhausting for a lot of parents.
yeah.
And I will sit down and go, okay, we're going to change our training just a little bit. I know it's going to be frustrating for the next 6 weeks. That's okay, it'll be over before you know it, and then you'll feel like nothing ever happened. You're not going to lose a ton of muscle from this. You're still coming in, you're working your hardest, but it's just a little less. It's going to be beneficial, I promise.
Wow, well said. Yeah, I mean that talk about really you can tell you really listen to your patients and um, hear their challenges and say, hey, we have a workaround here. We still that doesn't change what we need to do. It just it's some barriers in our way, but we still have to keep the momentum moving forward. So I love it.
Yeah, you're still
Um,
coming in. I mean, my mom, I'm gonna throw her under the bus a little bit. She
yeah.
broke her leg a year ago.
Mm,
It was a total freak accident. And on her scooter, she was still in a cast, scooting through the gym. and we were just doing upper body.
Mm.
I mean, and then whenever she was able to have a hard cast on, we started on machine work that
Mm.
she could do that wouldn't put pressure on her incision site. I mean,
Mhm.
she was still doing it. We had to adjust, but she
Mhm.
came in and saw
Impressive.
very little muscle loss, especially upper body. Lower
Yeah.
body's a little different when you have surgery, but
Fantastic, Faith. I mean, kudos to your mom to
oh,
show up anyway in the face of, how many people wouldn't show up for that? Most, 99%. I
yeah,
mean, a significant amount of people who are battling an injury and repair and recovery from that,
they
to
call it
still
quits.
show up and do it anyway is impressive.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, excellent, excellent. So maybe that is a good segue into why is strength training such a powerful tool for women during this perimenopausal menopausal phase? Where do you how do you explain that to them?
So most women, and when I say most, I mean pretty much 100%. When they hit their 30s, they really start to see decline in bone density.
Mm-hmm.
And if you haven't spent the time to build it up by strength training, because when you put those bones under load, you're helping build that density. If you haven't spent the time doing that, your decline is going to be a little more rapid than somebody who did spend time building that bone density and that muscle, whether it's deadlifts, squats, any sort of leg pressing motion, really for lower body, especially in those femurs, because they're huge bones
Yeah.
and we need them until the day we die.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you're still walking until then.
Right.
Um, but it's going to be a little harder to build that bone density. It's not impossible. I have a 71-year-old client right now, and we are actually eliminating it's a slow pace her osteopenia. She just had another scan earlier this year, and her T score has improved. So,
Great.
and that's, the indicator for osteopenia and osteoporosis. So
Yeah.
it's possible, but that is why strength training is such a powerful tool. Bone density is so important. You want to keep that. I mean, the the mortality rate for after you break your hip is terrifying.
Yes. It is terrifying.
Within that first year, it's 60%. I mean, it's a high number.
Yeah, it's a high number for sure. And men significantly too. It increases, they tend to break their bones a little bit longer, in their early 70s,
Mhm.
but the mortality is even higher for men than it is for women at that point. So you're absolutely right. It's functionality, it's all of these pieces. And I love how you talked about the osteogenic loading with the bones. And so strength is so critical. I love it, not only anabolically, metabolically, and structurally, right? It's just, I love it. I love that you emphasize all the key pieces. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, so, how does training need to change when stress, sleep disruptions, or joint issues enter the picture? Well, you just mentioned that with your mother, right? She
Mhm.
broke her leg and you still had her in here working and doing the strength work for the upper body, which, by the way, folks, the distal radius is the first fracture of a woman in the menopausal period, because what do is they fall on an outstretched hand and they break their wrist. And so here you are with your mother working, putting those compressive forces and those structural forces on the bone to strengthen that piece. So that's fantastic. But anything you can think of here in terms of stress, sleep, joint issues?
So joint issues is a big thing, and it's definitely something that I see improve as training continues to progress. Um, but if somebody comes in and right off the bat goes, my knees are killing me, my SI joint is just complete trash, I'm
Mhm.
not going to sit there and go, let's do jumping jacks. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So we're going to limit that jumping motion, that extreme agility, those movements that we see a lot of, football players and basketball players, those movements, they're not going to be super beneficial right off the bat.
Mhm.
But what we are going to focus on is building that muscle mass within those spaces so that those ligaments and tendons can take load if there does happen to be a fall, or that sudden movement like you were talking about, there goes to be a fall and they happen to put their hand out in front of them.
Mhm.
There's actual tissue there to support that.
Nice. Nice. Love it. Right. And just you getting them to move their body through space means they're working on balance and stability and things to prevent for fall prevention. Right.
Yep.
I tell people all the time, who breaks bones? People with weak bones or people who fall? It's people who fall,
Hmm.
right? That's what breaks the bones. It's the traumatic forces that cause it. So I love it. So hey, tell me how, with your NASM and your exercise science background, how does that influence how you design programs for people?
So this goes right into what we were just talking about. So injury prevention is my number one thing with every single client. I
Love it.
have such a I have it down to a science with my warm up and dynamic warm ups with every single client, whether it's an upper body day, lower body day, full body. It has zero impact on what their actual training split is. We are going to have a warm up and a dynamic warm up. You cannot skip it ever. I don't care if you have 30 minutes to spare on a lunch break. That's what we're going to do because injuries, especially with people who, come in and they want to just 0 to 100, you're going to get hurt. I
Mm-hmm.
do not want that for my clients specifically ever. So if they
Love
can build that habit of, okay, well, I have to, walk, bike, or elliptical for 10 minutes, and then I have to do all of my dynamic stretches that Faith tells me to do, at least I did something today.
awesome, Faith. And by the way, audience, Faith and I didn't even go through this on a dry run. We didn't even talk about all these things. So, you know, A grade for some key pieces here, right? Injury prevention, fear of overtraining, strength is important, metabolic sensitivities, hormone sensitivities, sleep is a key marker of overall wellness and fitness and recovery. So, yeah, just wow, I applaud you tremendously for all this.
Thank you.
Um, so, so if it's an athlete or a man focused on longevity or a woman in midlife, what are the first changes clients tend to notice when done correctly, when you're training them correctly?
So you mentioned this a little bit just a second ago, balance.
Mm,
And that is something that when I tell people, they're like, "Really?" They would think my waist gets smaller or my arms get bigger, something that you can physically see. It
mhm,
is balance every single time, and it does not matter the age or the gender of the person.
mm,
I I do a test with people where I have them just do walking lunges just to
mhm,
see what they look like. 99.9% of them are doing the weeble wobbles,
mm,
and they're not quite sure why. Make a couple tweaks, we're walking on railroad tracks, we are not walking a tightrope. That
mhm.
is this huge thing in their mind where they go, "Oh, okay, I'm not walking like this, I'm walking like this."
Right.
3 weeks later, if I see them twice a week, that's 6 sessions. By the end of the 6 sessions, I'm like, "Okay, let me see you do walking lunges again,
Mhm.
night and day." Balance is the number one improved thing that I see every single time.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Can you describe a common transformation you see across different client types? What would you say is a real common one that you see?
Um, Energy is number one. They
Mhm.
come in, they're like, "I actually really wanna be here today." I'm like, "Oh, good. I'm not torturing you for no reason. I want you here too."
Yeah.
Um, their joint pain starts to diminish. I have a lot of people that tell me, my knees were constantly killing me. Now, when the rain comes in, it's not so bad. I
Mm.
think we can all agree, that barometric pressure changes and we're all dying.
Yeah.
But they do say that that gets better, and then just overall muscle mass increasing, and going back to women saying, "I don't want to look like a bodybuilder." That muscle mass increase, I also mean that tone that a lot of people want. That's roped into that same category.
I love it. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. I don't even have anything more to comment on that. That's excellent. So that's great. Um, so how do you see strength training complementing medical care? And I can tell you, I can go on with you forever. We could take hours talking about this.
Mhm.
Medical care, hormone optimization, and nutrition. And by the way, I want to take a moment to mention, Faith also has, certifications from NASM in nutrition and exercise and training principles. So there's some advanced training here as well. So how would you answer that?
So, strength training is proven to benefit every population of person, whether it's their A1C numbers, their cholesterol numbers. In men, strength training is a natural testosterone booster. You know this. We've talked about testosterone for 100 years. It's like one of my favorite topics, too.
Yeah.
And that's going to, improve mood, energy, long-term cognitive function, too. I mean, memory is just one of those things that you can't live without. And to have higher testosterone numbers for longer, I mean, we're seeing a pretty significant reduction in those in a larger population. I know you see it in the clinic.
Sure.
But strength training combined with good nutrition as well, that is your golden ticket for longevity. I mean, we see all the time how their full blood panel changes significantly whenever they do things, pretty much by the book of you've got your, 4 to 5 day strength training a week, and it doesn't even have to be that. I see a lady now, I see her twice a week, and her blood panel is amazing. And I've been seeing her for 5 months. I mean, she came to me and she was like, I'm still struggling with my weight, but my doctor is applauding me because I'm not pre-diabetic anymore.
Wow. Great.
So
Great. It's you move those muscles, your muscles utilize blood sugar much better, right?
yep, that sensitivity with insulin.
Yeah, it's significant.
Mhm.
And we can go deep on that. I know we can, but
Yeah.
it's so fun. That's great. So why should exercise be viewed as foundational therapy, not just an optional add-on or when you have time for it, right? So this is, exercise as medicine is a fairly new concept in medicine, quite frankly.
Mhm.
And I was at some of the first American College of Sports Medicine conferences where this was being introduced
Yep.
as maybe another vital sign to ask people about their fitness or their activity level. And so how would you answer that? Well, yeah, why do you think it should be foundational?
Yeah, and ACSM, whenever they came out with that exercise as medicine, I remember I was a senior in college and they started introducing that to us in our literature, and us seeing that going, that's a really good tagline for
Yeah.
everything. I mean, and now everyone that I graduated with, we're still pretty close. And we all do virtually the same thing. And we
Mhm.
swap notes and go over case studies together. But we say it all the time. Exercise truly is medicine.
Yes.
But it's one of those things that it's non-negotiable.
Mhm.
It's prescribed a lot. But I think because people can't physically see it, they
Yeah.
don't remember to take it.
Right.
Like exercise reduces your mortality rate and
Mhm.
your risk of a cardiovascular event by 10 to 20%. And I
Mhm.
think if people could almost visualize exercise as a physical being
Mhm.
with that 10 to 20%, stapled on the front of it, they would see it as, oh, this is not optional.
Right. Right. It's the poly pill. It's the pill that has everything in it. It's the pill that lowers cancer, that lowers metabolic diseases, that lowers cardiovascular diseases. It's what helps the integrity to stay independent, right? We can just keep ripping things off right now, you and I, with this. So it's without a question. Even at that time, they came up with AOM, America on the Move,
Hmm.
which was how do we get America moving more? Let's create more greenways in Charlotte, for heaven's sakes. I wish we had more in Mooresville right now,
Me too.
right? I mean, you've got to drive to a greenway somewhere to get out and really run or ride a bike,
Yeah,
So
not a very walkable city.
it's not, but I'm hopeful that they're gonna keep pushing that agenda. So
Mhm.
that's fantastic. I know we're going a few minutes over. Do you still have a few more minutes to hang
Yeah,
on?
yeah, absolutely.
So, so we talked about some really key take home things here, which I think are awesome with strength and fitness, and you meet people where they're at, and you're trying to avoid injury and overtraining, and focus on nutrition as part of the synergy of it all. Getting proper sleep. I mean, you're naming all of my pillars of health that I teach in the clinic as well. And so I love it. Let's, if someone's listening today, man, woman, athlete, beginner, younger, more advanced, someone who feels stuck, somebody who feels like they need that push or they need that support, what's a smart step that they can take this week?
Write a goal. Just make a goal for yourself and write it down. Physically, pen and paper, not on your computer. Don't text it to yourself. I do that a lot. I text myself all the time to remind myself of things. But actually write it down, whether it's a sticky note, piece of paper, and a you know piece of tape, and put it somewhere that you're going to see it every single day. Even if you don't act on that goal just yet, just see it multiple times a day. If you work from home, write it on a sticky note, put it on your bathroom mirror. You have to go to the bathroom several times a day if you're drinking enough water. If if you're working a desk job in a corporate office, put it on your monitor. Or if you work construction or somewhere where you're constantly moving, put it in your lunchbox. You're going to have to open your lunchbox or on the fridge, and you can get your entire crew involved to where everyone has a goal that's there and you can hold each other accountable. Say, did you read your goal today? But just physically seeing that makes such a big impact, and it makes you a little more likely to start that goal and to continue with it.
I love it. I love it. There was a quote, and there's some data to support this, that if you write it down, you're 7 times more successful.
Mhm.
So I tell people, if you want to be 7 times less successful, definitely don't write it down.
Yeah.
And so it does matter, right? Just the physical construct of writing it down as well as having it in front of you. I do the same thing that you tell people is put it on your mirror. Put the
Mhm.
pills in the bathroom when you brush your teeth so it reminds you to take them, whether it's a supplement, vitamin D, or something else. So that's fantastic. I love it. And who's most likely to benefit from working with you? And how could listeners that are listening to this podcast today get started? How can people get a hold of you?
Yeah, so honestly, anybody, everybody. I know we talked a lot about perimenopause and menopausal women, but anyone. I still work with younger populations, whether it's prenatal girls that are wanting to start prepping for motherhood, or young men who just want to get in better shape. It really does not matter. I've done it all. I see everyone and love working with everybody. I like to chit chat and I love people. So it really doesn't matter, what your goal is. We'll figure it out together and adjust as needed throughout that process. But listeners can either call, text, or email. I don't know how you want to add
You
those.
know what? We'll add that as well. But why don't you just tell them right now what's your email that they
Okay.
can get a hold of
Um,
you?
so it's going to be faithcarpentierfitness@gmail.com. And honestly, anybody can call or text too at 704-798-1132. And we'll get a phone consultation going. We'll set up a time so that we can actually sit down, do an assessment. I'm not going to throw you into something without knowing how your body moves through certain movements. But we'll talk about your goals and expectations, and then we'll go into availability and scheduling. And that's usually how it works.
Perfect. And we'll get this on our sites here too, so people that want to come back to this. And sometimes it's like, gosh, yeah, this resonates with me. The New Year's is right around the corner, right?
Yeah,
And so this is New Year's resolution time. This is time to take action. This is time to really get some momentum in the right direction with someone who can give you the right direction and support you in that direction.
right.
And support is so critical. Safe support. There's lots of support out there. It's not all safe and well directed, but you're going to be in good hands with Faith for sure. So, Faith, I just want to thank you for bringing such thoughtful, science-based, because it was. And let me just tell you, it definitely is science-based. And whether we talked about the medicine pieces today or the lifestyle medicine pieces, the strength, the progressive overload, the sleep, the restorative health piece. And there's so many people that get frustrated and confused, like we talked about. For anyone listening who wants a personalized kind of precision, intelligent training plan with Faith, we just gave you some resources to get a hold of her, but please check these resources. We'll have these posted on the sites. We're going to post it on our website as well at redesignmd.com. And we will post it on our website where you can get a hold of Faith as well to pursue your wellness goals and thrive, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much. Thank you, Faith. And we're going to close here today. We will another time. We'll have Faith back, and we'll talk about some other things and have more Q&A.
Yeah.
Where we can really dig into some things. So,
Perfect. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Faith. I'm going to shut it down here, but thanks so much. This has been great. I've learned some things, and I'm sure everyone else has. So I will thank you so much again for coming on with us.
Yeah.